Just right after Christmas, I'm like, oh, I got to wait another year.
No.
Well, we're delighted you would join us today because we're celebrating the week, and Christmas is on Monday, and Pete is in for Brian. And take a look at this right here.
Yeah, historic.
It's a wrap. Straight to a Fox News alert. The Senate making history overnight.
If you're just waking up, the first major rewrite of the U.S. tax code in 31 years, clearing a major hurdle. And we could now be just a few hours away from a major win for the Republican Party.
Griff Jenkins is live in Washington, D.C., where there's still work to be done before the president can sign the bill. Griff, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. A little more work to be done, but Ainsley, it is definitely on its way to the president's desk. The Senate had to make minor changes to the House bill so it would fit their arcane budget rules. Specifically, there were 3 provisions, one of which included the actual title of the bill itself. But the House will vote again sometime around noon today on this modified version. And make no mistake, we are witnessing history. And 5 hours ago, it began when the Senate passed this straight down party lines, 51-48. All Republicans for it, all Democrats against it. Senator McCain absent, Vice President Pence presiding over it. At times it was very passionate. Even protesters had to be removed. But in the end, Majority Leader Mitch McConnell saying that this will strengthen the country.
If you look at the last 8 years, America has consistently underperformed. Not one year at 3% growth. Not one. That's not the best America can do. We're confident this will work, and we're prepared to take that argument to the American people.
That's what it's aiming at. Senator Schumer saying it's messing the country up.
83% of the middle class will either pay more in taxes or get little but crumbs. Is that what you intended? Is that this great bill that's helping the middle class? Absolutely not. This is serious stuff. We believe you're messing up America.
So here's where it stands, guys. The House will vote hours from now, roughly around noon, and then it goes to the president's desk. And you know, Ainsley, you mentioned what's to look forward to after December 25th. And according to Chairman Kevin Brady of the Ways and Means Committee, it is fatter paychecks in February.
All right, so you can pay for those Christmas gifts.
That's right.
That's a good thing.
All
Thanks so much,
Griff. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Okay, you know who's really excited about this?
Who?
The President of the United States, because he
Sure.
just got a win. And remember, shortly after he was elected President of the United States, there were so many media pundits and stuff like that who warned Republicans, do not work with this new president. If you want a career in politics, stay away from him. But he was tenacious, and he kept pushing the whole Congress toward tax reform.
Yeah.
And he was so excited. He tweeted this at 2 o'clock this morning.
That's right. He tweeted saying, the United States Senate just passed the biggest in history tax cut and reform bill. Terrible individual mandate of Obamacare repealed. Goes to the House tomorrow morning for final vote. If approved, there will be a news conference at the White House at approximately 1 p.m.
All right, so the president
today.
ran on several things. There was the wall.
Yep.
There was repealing and replacing Obamacare. There was tax reform, infrastructure.
Crushing ISIS.
Crushing
Done.
ISIS, that's been done.
The economy.
And the economy, that's check. Also, he's getting tax reform and repealing Obamacare, the mandate. So if you don't want to pay into it, you're not penalized. So you get choices. So it's good for the people who like Obamacare. It's good for the people who don't like Obamacare. You're not forced to do it.
Very much so. I mean, there's a massive vindication coming out today. And I think a lot of the folks in the so-called mainstream media are having to reckon with their rhetoric over the last couple of months, which is this is a do-nothing White House. They haven't got anything done. And it's like, well, wait, they've gotten a lot done.
Absolutely.
And this bill is front and center.
And for a change, wasn't it nice, no matter if you're a Republican or not, to see the Republican Party unified like the Democrats have done?
Well,
all the Republicans in the House voted for
They
it.
didn't lose it.
Well, no, there were some Republicans in the House that voted against it.
The
They were
ones in
from
the
the
big
high
states,
tax states.
Well, maybe
Indeed.
I should rephrase. It was just they got 51 votes.
Mitch McConnell finally did something. That's what you're saying.
Exactly.
He finally did something.
But
congratulations.
and the Republicans delivered against long odds and ultimately the swamp. I mean, the swamp, and Pete, you've lived down there.
Yeah.
You know what it's like. There are lobbyists and there are large forces that try to get Congress to do certain things because they've got a financial and political interest.
You are exactly right. And the other part of this is the Democrats, who we played that sound clip of Chuck Schumer and everyone. You know, it was just about, I don't know, JFK's era, 1963, 64, that he passed a massive tax cut. He took the richest down from 91 to 65%. He cut corporate taxes. He cut the rate for the lowest as well. This is a Democratic Party so removed from JFK that every single Democrat voted against this bill. Are you saying that Americans don't want their money back? They don't want larger paychecks? They want more in the government? That's what they're doubling down on, that they want higher taxes for the American people.
We just heard Chuck Schumer say in Griff's report, you're messing up America, Republicans.
Well, they need to think about the people who put them in office versus thinking about how they can just destroy this administration. It's just a referendum against Trump.
Well, it's going to be easier for the Republicans to get reelected next year than if they had to explain why they didn't get anything else done. Now they've got a major win under the belt as soon as they fix that little parliamentarian snafu.
Yeah,
apparently,
pass it again.
There were two things, and they named the bill the wrong thing. We're going to talk to Speaker.
How did they name the bill the wrong thing after all this time, Steve?
The numbers didn't match up in the House and the Senate. So anyway, we're going to talk to Speaker Paul Ryan live at 7:20 and Senator Ted Cruz live at 8:20 this morning. A big day on Capitol Hill, a big day here on Fox
yesterday
and
was
Friends.
too on Capitol Hill. Andrew McCabe was grilled for 7.5 hours, close to 8 hours, about bias within the FBI. They had a lot of questions for him, and that's why it took so long.
So you bring the deputy director of the FBI, and there's a video of him.
Right there.
He looked like a guy who wanted to get as quickly as he could from A to B and answer questions behind closed doors. Grilled, as you said, 8 hours in front of the House Intelligence Committee, and a lot of questions right now about what kind of bias may have existed inside the investigation.
And in fact, he was supposed to testify last week, but then that news about Bruce Orr, who had been a top guy at the Department of Justice, and then it was revealed Bruce Orr's wife, Nellie, apparently worked for Fusion GPS, and there she is right there, and there he is. We don't know when he's...
And then also the emails, Strzok's emails were released.
Texts, yeah.
Right.
And the text messages.
Don't call him Andrew McCabe, call him Andy, because that's what the text
And that meeting we had in his office, all very, very curious. Trey Gowdy, actually, before he testified, said, I would be surprised if Deputy Director McCabe was in his job in a week. Then he kind of walked it back and said, you know what, I probably should have waited until I heard what he had to say.
Sure. And so he did. So we'll find out ultimately what.
We really don't know what he said because it was closed door.
Right. So. Well, I tell you what, last night on the channel, a former deputy independent counsel joined the host and talked a little bit about why he was in there so long. Here's what he told Laura.
It tells you they're very angry at him. I mean, you're talking about a person who wouldn't understand a conflict of interest if it jumped up and bit him on the butt. And they've probably been waiting to talk to him for a long time. I mean, my God, you're talking about a lawyer whose wife took $700,000 from a Clinton crony, and he refused to recuse himself from the Clinton investigations until there was a Wall Street Journal story about it, and by then it was too late. They were closed.
You know, what's really interesting about all the testimony yesterday is the fact that there he was on Capitol Hill behind closed doors, and it's 6:10 in the morning, still no leaks. Twitter was ablaze with the fact that, wait a minute, Don Jr. was behind closed doors, and suddenly there are all these leaks on other channels, and they've suggested a certain member of Congress from California might have been to blame for that. We don't know anything about that.
Maybe none of what he said was convenient to the narrative, Steve.
Could be.
I'm just saying. You never know.
Anyway, no leaks so far. We'll keep you posted.
That's right.
Let's hand it over to Jillian, who has some headlines for us. Good morning.
Good morning to you guys, to you at home as well. We do have some breaking news we're following, so let's get right to this Fox News alert. At least a dozen people are dead and 7 Americans are hurt following a tragic bus crash in Mexico. The tour bus flipping over, bringing cruise ship passengers to the Mayan ruins. It's unclear what caused that crash, but a witness says there were swerve marks on the road. We do know a child is among the dead. 18 people are injured. We will keep you updated with the latest. Also breaking right now, a manhunt expanding across several states for 2 escaped inmates inmates, including an accused killer. Ronly Diaz-Pardo and David Allen Anderson broke out of their cell in the Florida Panhandle by chipping through the wall with a shower curtain rod, then squeezing under a gate. Police say they dumped their original getaway car in North Carolina, then stole another one. Both inmates jailed for drug charges, but Pardo is also accused of murder. So new questions over whether the brand new route where an Amtrak train sped off the tracks was rushed to open. Amtrak's president now says technology designed to slow trains down was not yet active on those tracks. Investigators also looking into whether the engineer was distracted by an employee in training when the train plunged off an overpass, killing 3 people. Among the dead, Jim Hamray and Zach Wilhoit. Both men were railroad advocates. The actress, best known as the voice of Daphne on Scooby-Doo, has died.
Freddie, where are you?
Heather North voiced the character on the cartoon series for over 30 years. North also made her way in front of the camera on the daytime soap opera Days of Our Lives in the 70s. She passed away last month, but a family friend just speaking out, saying she has been battling some sort of illness. North was 71 years old. That's a look at your headlines, guys. I'll send it back to you.
God, that takes us back.
Appreciate it.
I
Thank you
watched
for
that
this.
show all the
I
time.
know.
Scooby-Doo or the soap?
Scooby-Doo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo, yeah. No, Scooby-Doo. And I don't like scary movies, but I liked Scooby-Doo, even though there was that little scary at the end.
Only
Kind
a
of.
little scary,
Yeah.
yeah.
He always took off the mask.
Cartoon.
All right, coming up. Yeah, you
Old
remember?
Man
Remember? It was
Smithers.
always
Yeah,
Old Man Smithers or whatever.
Whoever he
Yeah.
was.
Coming up, this baby right there, y'all, that baby should be 24 years old.
What?
You heard it right. You're going to meet the miracle newborn that everyone's talking about this morning, and we'll explain that.
And forget Russia. Was the real collusion between President Obama and Iran? Lieutenant Colonel Michael Waltz is here to break it all down for us next.
And you've seen what my house used to look like on Christmas morning. Oh, that's that kid going down to see what he got. Well, now we want to see what your house looks like on Christmas morning. What's the best
was
gift?
happy.
That was
What
the
did you get?
You got a hockey, air hockey table.
Oh, my God.
What is the best gift? And she
What
got
did
an
Mary
American
get?
Girl doll right there. What is the best gift you ever received? Email us your pictures, friends at FoxNews.com, and that is where they got the dog.
It's an incredible allegation that any administration would ignore one terrorist group because you were trying to curry favor with another terrorist group. It is incendiary. It is worthy of investigation across several different committees of Congress.
Outraged lawmakers demanding answers as a bombshell report accuses the Obama administration of ending a DEA effort to take down Hezbollah's drug ring, letting the terror network off the hook to secure the infamous Iran deal. Fox News contributor Lieutenant Colonel Michael Waltz is a retired Green Beret and author of the great book Warrior Diplomat, and he joins us now in studio to weigh in. Colonel, thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks.
So the allegation is that the Obama administration looked the other way, or directed DEA to look the other way on a drug ring they knew about for Hezbollah, Iranian-backed,
right,
in order to secure the Iran deal. What do you know about this?
So this was Project Cassandra. It was a well-funded, well-resourced, DEA-led, but it was a multi-agency, agencies, international partners' efforts to shut down Hezbollah's operations around the world. These guys, maybe a terrorist organization, but they operate like the mafia. They're in antiquities dealing, human trafficking, smuggling cocaine through Mexican cartels in the United States, car smuggling. I mean, you name it.
Yeah.
They're an international illicit finance ring. DEA was leading the effort to shut this down. And every time they teed something up for prosecution or arrest, including Iranian-backed Hezbollah operatives in the United States, they ran into a wall. We're finding out through this story, but I think everyone suspected at the time, we knew why, the Iranian deal.
So this report coming out, revealing it to all of us, but as someone who knows folks involved in those communities, does it surprise you at all?
No, it doesn't surprise me at all. I knew a number of DEA agents that were literally pulling their hair out because they had the goods on these guys, and they just couldn't get it done when it came to DOJ and when it came to Treasury to approve. And, you know, one of the things that a lot of folks are kind of hitting at the sourcing of the story, but buried in the story is actually testimony from an Obama-era Treasury official who said it in writing, that the investigations were being tamped down so that we didn't rock the boat with the Iranians because of the Iran deal.
What does it say to you about priorities in our government when we're willing to make that kind of trade? We want this controversial deal, but in the meantime, we're not going to go after international terrorists.
Well, you know, I am convinced, and I think we're seeing now, that the Obama administration put everything secondary, whether it was, you remember the poor Syrian rebels that were trying to fight the Assad regime, aligned with Iran, that, you know, was paltry. These guys were slaughtered because we didn't support them. You know, whether it's the efforts in Yemen, whether it was those, or whether it was this effort to shut down Hezbollah, you name it, everything was put, you know, as secondary to get this deal done because we didn't want to rile the Iranians, because the Obama administration was so desperate to do this deal.
Wow. So when you read a report like that, you almost wish it isn't true. But, Colonel, you're here to validate that, unfortunately, it looked like it was.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time. Good stuff. All right, coming up, the Senate just passed historic tax reform, and it sent Rosie O'Donnell off the rails. She's trying to bribe some people. And violent protesters have been trying to silence conservative speakers on campus nationwide. But that could soon be a thing of the past. The proof we have next.
If I don't survive,
it's time now for some headlines. North Korea wants to arm their intercontinental missiles with anthrax. The rogue nation reportedly testing whether the chemical weapons can survive traveling through the Earth's atmosphere. Earlier this week, in its national security strategy, the White House warned that North Korea is stockpiling tons of chemical weapons to deliver via missiles. And U.S. and South Korean Marines are preparing for a potential conflict with the North. New videos showing the troops carrying out drills in below freezing temperatures, even practicing shooting and skiing at the same time. Wow, that is tough. Both sides also wrestling as a team-building experience. The drills come 2 months before the Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang. Steve?
Thank you, Ainsley. This year was filled with violent protests at campuses across the country. We've shown you some of the pictures, mostly the protests to protest conservative speakers. But there is some news this morning. A new survey shows speech is actually gaining ground on campus, free speech, that is. According to the Foundation for Individual Rights in Education, or FIRE, in the past year, there has been a 10% drop in the schools with policies prohibiting or restricting free speech. Here to react is Harvard student, she's a senior now, and campus reform correspondent Emily Hall. Emily, good morning to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so it's a good news, bad news thing. The good news is campuses are less restrictive, but the bad news is there is still a lot that completely clamp down on free speech.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to note that although this FIRE study does show important progress, that progress has been really hard fought. And we've seen students, part of college Republicans and other groups at Berkeley, at Columbia, at Middlebury, at numerous schools, who have not backed down in the face of violence and restrictive speech codes and all kinds of restrictions on their First Amendment rights.
FIRE found that roughly 1 in 3 schools still maintain policies that drastically limit free speech on campus. You know, I think if parents and students knew before a kid was going to sign up to go to a college that the school they were going to was restrictive in their free speech abilities, a lot of them wouldn't go.
Absolutely. But I think that that's actually, you know, making things worse for students, is that you have all these expectations that the schools are going to be so liberal, and it scares conservative students into not using their voices. And I think it's really important, the work that students are doing on their own campuses, that groups like the Leadership Institute and campusreform.org are doing to train these students. And then finally, we've seen Attorney General Jeff Sessions has recently committed the Justice Department to investigating violations of free speech. And a number of states have made provisions that have protected free speech in their own states, and more are introducing them.
You know what? Let's go ahead and take a look at that graphic. Good segue there. Those states that have passed free speech legislation include Utah, Colorado, Tennessee, Virginia, and Arizona. It is being proposed in California, Texas, Louisiana, Georgia, North Carolina, Kentucky, Illinois, and Wisconsin. When it comes to restricting free speech, does that campus then tilt so far to one side politically, and is it almost always to the political left?
Yes, I think that these schools are reacting to both their student bodies and their professors, which lean overwhelmingly left. And when conservative voices are suppressed, it's really robbing students of their education, because the best thing that a college education can do is teach students how to defend their own beliefs, argue with people, and come out with a better answer.
My wife and I were shocked that one of our kids went to a school that was aligned with a religious institution, the Catholic Church, and we were shocked at how far to the left it tilted. And it was not just the students, for the most part, but it was the administrators, the teachers. It was across the board. We didn't know about it going in.
Yeah, it's incredible to see how many schools across the country just shift so far to the left and suppress student voices. And then you have a refusal by many administrations to even, punish groups like Antifa that come on campus and evoke violence against professors, against students, against speakers, and there's nothing done about it.
All right. I think most families would just like to be able to send their kids to a school where you get both sides, so that it's not all just one. If you would like, apparently the list of the schools, it's broken down. Go to the Foundation for Individual Rights in Education, and they will have the list right there. Emily, thank you very much for joining us live.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great job. Good luck at Harvard, by the way.
Thank you.
All right. Still ahead on this Wednesday, Hillary Clinton's book tour finally over, and now she's coming home to a brand new Clinton cash scandal. You're going to want to hear about that. Plus, is your New Year's resolution to find financial freedom? Chris Hogan from Ramsey Solutions here. As you can see, he's laughing it up with Pete. Pete needs to fix his finances right now. But first, happy birthday to Jonah Hill. Funny guy, 34. Candles on his cake.
Just by yourself? Yeah. Sucks. Okay, so just one. All right, here's your wine list, your menu. Come on. Do you want like a magazine or something? It's gonna be boring if you're just sitting by yourself.
Slam, slam, oh hot damn, what part about it don't you understand? Wish you. Oh, I won't ask for much this Christmas. I don't even wish for snow. I'm just gonna keep.
Yeah, those are the Ducey kids. We just saw Mary Ducey open her American Girl doll. That's the best gift she ever got. You can tell by her expression. We just saw Peter the day that he got the air hockey table.
Look at Sally. Sally's just like...
I know. And right here, this is when Santa left a letter in the Christmas tree where the kids were told that they could get a dog.
This could be a video.
We should
for
just play this on loop because none of us can compete with this.
I know we can't.
The key, folks, is take movies of your kids. They grow up so fast. So we're looking at the best gift she ever got.
So that was me, of course, with a baby doll. I always had one in my hand. And my sister on the left. And that is the best gift I ever got, was my daughter. She was born around Christmas time 2 years ago.
Absolutely.
And that was day 2 of her life.
It's beautiful. And I didn't have any photos of me opening gifts. So instead,
I don't either. It's okay.
I submitted one of my 2 little boys. I got him a whole Army combat setup.
Awesome.
I made a little battlefield and bought all the things.
Your combat boots.
Helmets and camouflage. Yeah, why not?
That's me.
Janet.
With Baby Alive. Remember Baby Alive? Which apparently is still popular now.
My sisters had that.
Where
So
they cry, you can change
And
the
you
diaper.
feed them, and there's my baby grand.
Aww. I love it.
The 70s, everyone.
So I didn't have a picture with any gifts. This is me with my younger brother, Tommy. One of my favorite gifts, though, is a pound puppy, one of the stuffed animals.
Yeah, right.
I named it Jezebel, and I still have it to this day. I'm not kidding.
The pound
Yeah.
You gotta bring it in.
Yeah, I could do that.
Is it in your apartment?
No, it's at home.
It's in a box.
It's at home. It's at home.
Send us your pictures, friends@foxnews.com. What are the best gifts you ever received? If you have video, even better.
But you can't top the Ducey clamp. That looked like it was meant for a music video.
It fitted
I
that.
think there were Fox
really
cameras
did. It was
before
almost,
that.
Mary was unwrapping the gift to the music.
Do you like these warm temperatures here in the Northwest?
Unbelievable.
Let's step over the weather map, shall we? And we'll talk about the fact that it is very warm. And I'm wearing these shoes that look good on TV, but they are very uncomfortable unbelievable, and I could trip at any moment. Here are your current temperatures, 46 here in New York City. It's going to remain warm for the next couple of days, and then we do have an Arctic plunge that's going to move in just in time for Christmas. There's your past 24 hours across the Northwest. A lot of snow, feet of snow, in fact. And then we have this frontal boundary that's going to bring the potential for heavy rain across the Southeast, the Mississippi River Valley, the Tennessee River Valley. That's going to be, unfortunately, the case as we get into the weekend. And, of course, big travel plans for Friday and Saturday. So that's going to sort of be the ongoing threat. Let's look at these temperatures drop, shall we, as we go into Saturday and Sunday. So 50 in Boston, then it goes down to 40, then it goes down to 39, and then Tuesday we get that Arctic plunge. So things are be cold enough for some snow, and we actually could see some snow on Christmas Day here in the New York City area. So we will keep you posted. Of course, busiest travel days of the year coming up. Back to you.
And of course, the coldest days will be the days when people are taking things back to the store.
Of course. That's
right. That's the way it always works.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Janice.
Thank you.
Jillian has some headlines for us. Good morning, Jillian.
That's right. Good morning to you guys. Let's begin with this story. The Hillary Clinton campaign, along with the Democratic National Committee, accused of a corrupt money scheme. A complaint filed with the Federal Election Commission alleges that $84 million were illegally funneled from the DNC through state party chapters and back to the Clinton campaign. The group behind the complaint claims they broke FEC campaign contribution rules. DNC officials have not yet returned our request for comment. We will keep you posted on that. All right, very vocal President Trump critic Rosie O'Donnell going off the rails, trying to stop the tax bill. The actress offering lawmakers $2 million to vote against it. Rosie going on a Twitter tirade, tweeting in part, quote, "So how about this? I promise to give $2 million to Senator Susan Collins and $2 million to Senator Jeff Flake if they vote no." Many on Twitter quick to point out those bribes would be illegal. She also told her followers to call 911. Okay, so a mom is sounding the alarm on a popular toy right before Christmas, claiming it gave her daughter chemical burns. She posted this photo on Facebook after she says her daughter got in the bath with a Hatchimal, is that what it's called? Hatchimal, and was burning within seconds. I'm not up to date on these whole toys thing, you know. The toy company says they follow FDA guidelines, but are investigating what happened here. All right, so it's a record-breaking Christmas miracle. A 26-year-old Tennessee woman gives birth to a baby from a 24-year-old frozen embryo. Tina Gibson and her husband didn't think they'd be able to have kids until visiting an embryo donation center.
Just so you know, this is going to be a world record. And I was like, what? And they were like, yeah, it's been frozen for 24 and a half years. You know, we could have been best friends.
Little Emma Wren was conceived in 1992, the same year Tina was born. Isn't that crazy, guys?
That is something.
Insane, I know.
Who knew? All right. Jillian, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jillian.
That's crazy. All right.
The best gift for them, I'm sure. Well, the holiday shopping season can add to financial woes if you don't plan ahead, right? A recent study shows 62% of Americans feel stressed about money. I'm surprised. I thought it'd be more than that.
So how can you reset and reach your financial goals for the new year?
The best-selling author of Retire Inspired, financial expert Chris Hogan joins us now with his tips. So we're moving into a new year. You want a fresh start. How do we start?
Well, I think the first thing you have to do is understand most people, when they set resolutions, they don't follow through. Studies have shown 85% of people fall off within 30 to 45 days. So you need to understand it's going to be an uphill climb immediately. So you've got to make a decision. I tell people to follow my AAA process, you guys.
Okay.
Now follow me here.
All right.
First thing you want to do is assess where you are. Be brutally honest. Are you doing well in some areas? Are you struggling in some areas, right? And then once you make that assessment, what I want you to do is acknowledge, is better available? Can you start to do better at saving? Can you do better at starting to attack debt? And then once you acknowledge what can improve, then I want you to activate a plan of action. That means start to take steps that are going to put you in the right direction, but start small. Most people have this large goal, but they never have small incremental steps that they can take to be able to judge and gauge if they're making progress.
Is that why you say focus on one at a time?
One thing at a time. Listen, we are distracted in our culture today. We have things buzzing, ringing, and dinging all over the place.
Yes.
So if we can zero in and understand, if I'm going to attack debt, I'm going to get serious about the debt. Now, once I do that, or I'm going to focus on savings, then do that. Doing things one at a time, you're going to increase your probability of reaching that goal.
I know from your boss, Dave Ramsey, he has said many times that the #1 reason people have marital problems or get divorced is over money. So you really have got to be on the same page.
You really do. I mean, and that's one of those where you start to put down kind of the disagreements and start to pick up where are you going to be together? Where are you in common? Where are you in sync? And if you start to move on those goals working together, you're going to make progress faster, and you're not going to have money fights.
Because oftentimes he's a spender or a saver, and she's a spender or a saver. They're never on the same page. One is spending, the other is saving.
That's exactly right. And so looking at that, what you want to do is don't focus on how you're different. Focus on what you have in common, meaning you want what's best for your family. So if you can sit down and you start to work on the budget one night a week together, or you gain agreement on, hey, we're going to save and not spend, I guarantee you're going to start to move in that direction, and then you're going to feel better.
Those talks are always so much fun.
I know the sarcasm here. There's sarcasm
How do
here.
you do that without getting in a fight?
That's right. I've got the visa bill right here. I've got some questions.
Well, and you start to keep score against each other. That's what you don't want to do. So have a dollar amount that you each can spend without anybody getting upset. Okay, I call
How
that
do you figure
blow
that
money.
amount?
So that, how do you?
Well, you got to sit down and look at your budget. So if it makes sense for you to have $400 a month each, get that out in cash so there's no disagreements. So if you want to spend it going to the spa or you want to spend it at the sporting goods store, we've already gained agreement on it, so there can't be a fight.
So you talk about consider extreme money moves. So what if I want to spend my $400 on Bitcoin? Is that the way to do it? Go extreme?
I'm going to tell you no, okay? But if you want to waste it, you can. It's not a problem. Listen, I'm joking.
He bought
Kinda.
Bitcoin.
I
That's
know
why
he
he's
did. We've talked at the
saying
break. We're going to talk later. But here, extreme money moves are these. Maybe if you're both working outside of the home, you're going to agree to, hey, we're going to live on one income while we use the other to either save or attack debt. Now you're starting to gain agreement. Or if you have multiple cars, families have 3 and 4 cars these days, sell one of the cars. Use that money toward attacking debt. Or the biggest extreme move, downsize your home. Downsize where you're living if you have too much square footage and have some cheaper expenses overall. Now redirect that money toward financial progress.
If you want to figure out how much to put away for your 401k, he has a great website. You just plug in a few little numbers and he tells you every year how much you need to be putting aside so that you can live comfortably when you retire. What's
That's
your
right.
website?
That's called the RIQ, the Retire Inspired Quotient.
Yeah.
Free tool at my website, chrishogan360.com. Also, I want to let everyone know, if you want to set goals this year and get serious, I've got a new podcast episode called New Year, New You.
Fantastic.
New Year,
well, thank you
New
very
You.
much.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Chris.
Merry
Thank you.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
All right. Coming up on this Wednesday, the Senate just passed historic tax reform, and now it's up to the U.S. House to get it on the president's desk. 2 key players, House Speaker Paul Ryan and Senator Ted Cruz, are going to be with us in the next hour.
And anthem-kneeling quarterback Colin Kaepernick looking to get back in the game as an owner. Former Super Bowl champ Burgess Owens has a few other ideas about where he could invest. Does Colin Kaepernick have enough money to be an owner? Maybe. I don't know. But
With
Burgess
Pete Eddie's
Owens
help, maybe
up
so.
next. Yes.
It's time to get the chains out. Is your tongue tied up? 'Cause this is my round.
Colin Kaepernick cannot get hired as a quarterback because he throws too many interceptions, but he's trying to get back in the game as an owner. Hip-hop mogul Sean P. Diddy Combs is eyeing the Carolina Panthers after owner Jerry Richardson announced the team was for sale amid sexual harassment claims.
Kaepernick is backing the move, saying that he does want in.
Interesting. Here for reaction, former NFL Super Bowl champion and author of Liberalism or How to Turn Good Men into Whiners, Weenies, and Wimps, Burgess Owens. Burgess, good morning to you.
Good morning, guys. Good to see you again, for sure.
So what do you think about this idea that, that these guys might combine forces and buy a team?
Well, the first thing that came to mind is where have they been the last year or so? I mean, this is free market. They can get together to solve or to buy $1 billion corporation. How about getting together to solve the issues that we're dealing with in the black community? I mean, there's a lot of issues happening that their money can help out, their example, and more importantly, their idea that if I can do it, you can do it. And we're missing all that with the social justice game.
Well, Jerry Richardson built that team up. There was not an NFL team in the Carolinas. So he has the right to say no, right? If he doesn't agree with I mean, maybe the money is going to talk and he's going to want to sell no matter who it is.
Well, there's a couple things here. First of all, there's a lot of difference between rap and running an NFL team. And I understand. I mean, the guy's making a lot of money. That's what entertainers, they get very confident. But this is a business. And the way they're approaching their lives right now, and the way they've actually dipped and hurt the NFL, I don't think it's going to be a good business decision at all.
Would it be a good business decision for Puff Daddy to work with Colin Kaepernick? I mean, does that not create a recipe that's already controversial out the gates?
I think the key to this whole conversation, we're dealing with this talk now because of what's happened last year and a half. How about Puff Diddy, Kaepernick, Michael Jordan, all these guys get together and say, you know what, we have some things we can do for our community. We're making billions of dollars together. Let's make a difference. Let's go out and first of all, tell our kids, if I can do it, you can do it. We need to get away from this social stuff because I can do it, but you can't.
Well, there's a possibility that if they bought the team, they wouldn't inject their politics into it. He just wants a place to throw the ball.
Well, unfortunately, that's not proving true so far. He's actually where he is today because he couldn't keep his politics out of the game. These guys are very into what they're doing. They're social justice warriors. And unfortunately, that doesn't fit with the capitalist community we have now, particularly those who want to come and watch the game.
What you know
without
about
it.
the Carolinas, that's the Bible Belt. Do you think fans will still go to the game?
No, I don't. I don't. And those are decisions that the NFL has to make. It is a business decision. At the end of the day, they don't want to lose their numbers because of somebody who's just divisive.
Burgess, you know, we're in week 15, I think, of the NFL. I mean, what's your takeaway so far about what this year has done to the brand?
This has been a sea change. I've never felt this way ever before about the game. I felt it's so difficult to mess up the NFL brand, and they've figured out a way to get it done. And I don't know if they'll ever get it back.
Are you heartbroken when you see those images of it's in the first quarter and a third of the seats are empty?
And see, because I've left the game so long, I'm heartbroken when I see all the misery going on in the black community and nobody's doing anything about it. 75% of black kids and black boys in California this year cannot read and write. And no one's talking about it. Nobody's trying to put income into it. We're talking about $1 billion investment in a team. So we've got to change that narrative.
Burgess, thank you very much.
Buddy.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Focus on the stuff that matters. Great message. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right, well, a brand new threat from ISIS. As security is ramped up across the country, what we know coming up.
Plus, an inspiring new book tells the story of an unexpected Christmas gift, a chance to rewrite the past and learn lessons of forgiveness. The best-selling author, The Noel Diary, joins us next. He wrote The Christmas Box and The Walk. He has another one that's going to be a hit. Oh, a sweet story. Just in time for the holidays, a new book shares an unexpected Christmas gift, a chance to reconcile with the past and learn lessons of grace and forgiveness and a chance at love. With his own inspiring story, our next guest has over 2 decades of writing books that he hopes will help people find their own power within themselves. Joining us now is best-selling author of his new book. It's called The Noel Diary, Richard Paul Evans. Thank you so much for being with us. Congratulations on this new book.
Thank you.
So you've written a lot of books, The Christmas Box, The Walk. Many of them have been made into movies that we watch around the holiday season. Your wife read the book and said it was her favorite book. Why is that?
It did. And after she said that, she said, did it hurt to write?
Why'd she say that?
Because it was so autobiographical and some of it is painful, and she knew how much of it was true from my childhood.
All right, give me an example. What's the story?
A USA Today reporter is interviewing the best-selling author, Jacob Churcher, who's the character in the book. And, you know, it's obviously autobiographical, and it says, tell me a Christmas you'll never forget. And he talks about the Christmas his mother got mad at him and beat him and then walked him out to the side of the road, packed a suitcase, walked him out and said, go find someplace else to live. And he stood by the side of the road for 3 hours holding a suitcase. Well, that's true. That was me.
Your mom did that to you?
Yeah, she suffered from mental illness, and
God, that breaks my heart. We were just watching videos of Steve Ducey's kids coming down the stairs and getting presents, and your mom kicks you out. How old were you?
I was 11.
Wow, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, well, no, I love my mother, and she's passed away now, but she needed help, and she didn't have it, and it was difficult. So that was my
So
childhood.
the story's about going home and reconciling.
It was about going home, yeah. It was about peeling back the layers of what was there and exposing it to light. And at first, it was really great for me to just kind of come out. Say, this is me. This is I look like a best-selling author, but the truth is I have a lot of pain inside, and maybe that's where the books come from. But then I didn't think it would do well because of that. But then all of a sudden, people all around the country start pouring in with their stories.
Being real. I've realized in my career, too, just being real and being genuine, people can relate to that. I also wanted to ask you about your Tourette's. I know you've talked about having Tourette's and living with that. How do you overcome that, or how do you live with that?
Oh, you know, I'm grateful for my Tourette's. It was hard when I was little. I had so many twitches and things, and
But I wrote a book series called Michael Vey about a boy with Tourette's. I was a #1 bestseller, and I get to meet kids with Tourette's all around the country. I'm meeting one from London tomorrow when I get back to Salt Lake, and it gives them hope. And what a great thing.
That's wonderful. God bless you. God really, he's just, I mean, he
God is
redeems
good.
everyone all the time. He has Richard Paul Evans, highest rated book on this. Out of all of his books, this is the highest one on Amazon. He's had some bestsellers, so thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank
Godspeed.
you.
It's called The Noel Diary if you want to get it. Coming up, we have House Speaker Paul Ryan, Senator Ted Cruz, Corey Lewandowski, and David Bossie. Look at that lineup. Stick around. If you're just waking up, the first major rewrite of the U.S. tax code in 31 years, clearing a major hurdle.
The ayes are 51, the nays are 48.
You know who's really excited about this?
Who?
The President of the United States. He tweeted this at 2 o'clock this morning.
The United States Senate just passed the biggest in history tax cut.
FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe was grilled for more than 7 hours.
You're talking about a lawyer whose wife took $700,000 from a Clinton crony, and he refused to recuse himself.
At least a dozen people are dead and 7 Americans are hurt following a tragic bus crash in Mexico.
A major publication alleging the Obama administration may have sabotaged its own government investigators' efforts to stop the Hezbollah terror group.
The Obama administration put everything secondary so that we didn't rock the boat with the Iranians because of the Iran deal.
And right here, this is when Santa left a letter in the Christmas tree where the kids were told that they could get a dog. You know, I know it's kind of an optical illusion. We're sitting in Midtown Manhattan, and there goes Santa and a train and stuff like that. And we have so many snowflakes falling on the big screens. I keep looking outside thinking, wait a